there's no way to do this video without making some people upset. So if you're upset about what I say, that just means I struck the nail, I guess. And you're free to leave comments below, and we can debate from there, because this is meant to create debate. This is meant to create talks about the idea of authenticity. Today's video is purely made to upset you all. Or rather, it's meant as a bit of an interesting type of criticism to what I do and what many other tattoo artists currently do. The whole Nordic / Viking tattoo and the idea of authenticity. In lieu of my job, I of course I have a lot of comments about Nordic tattoos. I see a lot of Nordic tattoos posted, and I see a lot of, especially one funny comment where people rant about how real a tattoo is, how like this is a real Viking tattoo kind of thing, which essentially is bullshit sentence. So that's what this video is going to address. That's what we're going to focus a little bit on today. Coming from a background where I used to do reenactment, which focuses on the idea that nothing can be declared real unless we have historical findings of it, archaeological findings of it, Viking tattoos are not real. We have hints that it existed, and we have some written sources from the Middle East that mentions that the Vikings, specifically the Rus Vikings, were tattooed. Ibn Fadlan is a really good example. He mentions them. There's another Middle Eastern poet and historian who mentions tattooed northerners. There's nothing that specifies Scandinavian Vikings though, but it's mentioned that these people had ornaments on the skin. Translations are loose, and it's a little bit tricky to say if this is fact or figment. I would say what Ibn Fadlan wrote was fact. He definitely saw that, but one written source does not make it into a truth. We know at the time that tattoos was something that we could make. They existed in other parts of the world, from the Pachurik tribes that had used them well before the time of the Vikings, to medieval crusaders who had tattoos done when they visited the Holy Land. This is of course a little bit later, but to such an extent that the Pope actually put a ban on people getting tattooed because it was seen as sort of like an unchristian and unholy thing to do. So we know that tattoos existed. It also existed in parts of Asia and Polynesia at the time, as far as I'm informed. I shall see if I can supply you with links to the right information on this, but no matter what, we know that tattoos had existed and existed after. Ötzi is another really good example. Very primitive but amazing tattoos on the Iceman, and they're incredibly well preserved. Thing is, we don't have a well-preserved Viking. We have very little in Scandinavia that can point towards the Scandinavian people, either farmers or pirates, as they were, being tattooed. So when people rant about their real Viking tattoos and how authentic something is, it is bullshitting. It's a bit ironic for me to say that, since I do Viking tattoos on people, but more about that. So one of the reasons I want to address this subject is because I don't do the authentic Viking tattoos anymore. The whole hand poking thing, for one main reason: I am not fast enough at it, and I don't really feel I can invest the time in becoming super fast at it. There are people out there who do hand poke tattoos at an amazing speed and of an outrageous quality. Literally hand pokers that are almost as fast at tattooing with hand poking as others are with machines. Maybe even faster than certain tattoo artists are with their machines on Nordic tattoos. So that's all a little bit back and forth. I don't do those because, yeah, I'm not fast enough. I make massive pieces. I usually have like a minimum size of doing sleeves on people. So trying to hand poke that, I feel I would be stealing my clients' money. So I've personally chosen to abstain from that direction in my work. Whether that is a loss for some and a bonus for others, that is definitely for each to decide. I will not be the judge of that. I just know how I prefer to work. And in all honesty, I do feel that if Viking tattoos are around today, let's play with the idea that the Vikings are around today, they would definitely use electricity and mechanical tools. It's not like they would stay in some hermit pre-technology stage and not use whatever modern gear and tech was accessible to them. So for me, doing Nordic tattoos with machines, it's just a modern expression. My own tattoo work is also modern interpretations. I don't pretend that I do historical correctness in my designs. I am inspired by the different styles. Sometimes I do a piece that's inspired by several and just slam them together. Most of the time I stick to one style and theme, and then I do my handwriting and my interpretation of it. But it is modernized and bastardized. And while I do love the historically correct designs that are out there on stones and carvings and jewelry, to me I don't feel it's necessary to do replicas of this onto the skin for several reasons. One of them being, we don't know if let's say the Vikings were tattooed. We don't know what they would have had tattooed, because we can see from their art and creative expression that the designs they did on different materials differed from each other. The designs done on fabric and weavings and stuff like that is different than the designs that would be done on metal or wood and so on. Probably both because of the difficulty of certain materials to do certain things, but it also seems to be a choice of, I don't know, genre, a principle, almost as if there's some sort of shamanistic / religious principle behind this decision to stick a style to a certain material. So I'm going to assume that if the Vikings were tattooed, most likely a specific style or genre would have been chosen for that purpose. This was one of the things I was exploring when I did when I built the Sirun Nordic tattoos that I have several examples of on my website and on my Instagram for that matter. They're based around primitive symbolism and runes and bind runes that are all tied together into something that feels geometric but isn't. There's like a primitive power to them, and that was all just playing around with an idea of like, what if they were tattooed, but what if they'd developed something else for it. And that was how I would have developed it, and that is how I would develop it now. Like, I still do these tattoos, I still think they look awesome on the body. They're fun to do. So that is my whole take on why not Viking tattoos could look the way they do or do not. So what would Vikings tattoo on themselves, or get tattooed with, and why and how? If I were to guess, I would assume that tattoos would either be something that would be done in connection with battle prowess and experiences crossing the seas and stuff like that, or shamanic, that a Gothi, a Nordic priest, would tattoo someone for a purpose and for a reason. It might have been something that the women of the society were doing, or something that was strictly men who were doing. We don't know. We don't have these things written down, and most of what we do have from the Viking Age is written down by, well, poets from the Middle East or European priests who were not exactly kind to the Scandinavian history. I will do a different YouTube video about this, because that's a whole kettle of fish that I don't want to light on fire right now. But what would you get tattooed if you were a Viking? We have ideas that there's symbols that would make sense, like a Thor's hammer maybe makes sense if you were fond of the god Thor. A symbol for Odin would make sense if you were a person of power or inclined towards magic. But a lot of people get wolves and worms and stuff like that tattooed, but wolves and worms and dragons are all connected with something negative, super powerful, but meant to frighten. They carve dragon heads and put them on their ships to frighten the enemy, we know that much. So would you have that tattooed? Would it spiritually or animistically affect you negatively to have such a beast on your body? Again, we don't know. It's fun to think about, and it's fun to experiment with these concepts and ideas, but to pull it back to where this video begins, we can't make this authentic. We can't say this is real, and we can't say it's completely unreal. We just don't have any facts about it, and we have nothing to really work from that gives us any accuracy. So when I'm on Facebook groups, I'm a moderator on a Facebook group called Nordic Tattoos. Nordic Tattoo? Something like that. And I often see people rant about how real their handpoke tattoos are, or how Nordic they feel. Dear Americans, stop this. Because they got their Viking tattoo theme going on. None of this is more right or wrong than the other, in my opinion. I don't feel or think that a hand-poked bind rune is more real Viking than someone has a soft-shaded Viking face with a Viking ship on their upper arm. I definitely know what I would choose for myself, and I definitely know what I want to do on my clients, but there's nothing that gives you any credentials to say that's real and that's not real, because that's real and that's not real would be based on historical findings, of which we have none. Our best historical finding is a few tools that are believed to have been used for tattooing. There's no proof, no evidence, but they're believed to have been tattooing instruments. That is purely guesswork, as so much else is. So with that, with all of that information that I'm regurgitating towards you right now, and there'll be more, we'll expand upon this video at some point. With all of that information available, feel free to comment below, debate, let me know what you think, let me know what you feel, let me know what your Nordic tattoo is and why you feel that that's a true Nordic tattoo. Next time I'm going to be provoking you. It's going to be about the whole term of Vikings, like the whole praise that we give them. We put them on pedestals and make them seem like something really cool, when in fact the Vikings were pillaging, enslaving pirates from Scandinavia. Food for thought. I hope this has lit half of your butts on fire. I'm not allowed to swear on YouTube, I've been told. And that you really want to strangle me for having shattered some of your illusions. I would like to mention, this is not personal criticism of any tattooists out there. We all have our personal truths and our personal way and take on all of this. It's an open business and an open type of creativity. This is all speaking from my point of view and my experience and what I want to do, and also from what research I've managed to put together over the years through books and the rantings of other people and communications with a couple of archaeologists and historians and so on and so forth. Not trying to point fingers at you. Unless you're just shit tattoo artists, then I'll gladly point my fingers at you. We'll do another video on that later. Thank you very much, and may your comments commence.